I spoke to Michael Bjorn for more insight. He's the head of research at Ericsson's Consumerlab. I asked him about tech consumer trends of 2016 and pressures companies face in trying to keep up with them.
Well, I think, of course, technology is moving quickly, and we're seeing consumers becoming more used to new technologies. I think smartphones have changed a lot for consumers. So now a new technology is a bit like, it's just a new app, and you can download that and you can try it out. So, of course, people are much more involved with technology, and they see that it influences them in everyday life. They can use it for a lot of things. So, of course, companies also need to move quickly with that.
Michael, when you walk around and see all these gadgets, if I'm out there on the floor and looking at it, how soon before some of this stuff is actually in my hands or in my home, do you think?
It depends very much on what you're looking at. I have another product here that I brought along. This is the Amazon Echo. Now, I think this is an interesting product because it's a speaker that finally speaks to us. So it took us 150 years to get there. Speakers, they don't normally talk to us, but now they're starting to do that. And you can see when you walk the CES floors here that more and more products are starting to talk to us, not only our smartphones, but cars and what have you. So actually, this is happening right now as we speak. Our trend in this space is what we call artificial intelligence, ending the screen age. Of course, screens are not going to go away, but we're seeing that consumers are interested in new interfaces, and AI is definitely going to be one of them. Of course, you can do things such as browsing the web and all those kinds of things, but we also see consumers being interested in having an AI as a financial advisor or even as a medical advisor. How about that? And this is happening, I think, very much right now.
Michael, you study global consumer trends. Who's driving this market? Is it the consumer, or is it the companies themselves that are coming out with these innovations and then the consumers just feel like they have to have it?
I think it's very much an iterative process. So with the fact now that the average consumer globally more or less has a smartphone, people are so accustomed to actually downloading new apps and trying them out. So it's become much more of an area that consumers are engaged with, and they're feeling more sort of comfortable with new technology. So it's becoming much more of an iterative process where consumers are having more influence than they ever had before.
Michael, you and I are talking. Some people are watching us on television sets. Others are watching us on tablets. Some are watching us on their smartphones. As we look into the future, you look at these trends, and it's remarkable looking at the young people, how many of them are now watching more and more on their phones. Give us an idea of what we're looking at this next year in terms of that.
Yeah, so actually we have a trend that we call streaming natives, and that's specifically about young people. So we've been following 9 countries over 5 years, and actually China is one of them. And what we're seeing there is that if you go back to 2011, 7% of the 16 to 19-year-olds said that they were watching YouTube 3 hours or more every day. Now in China that would be Youku and not YouTube, but it's a similar kind of service. And actually, if you move up to now, that number has tripled, basically. So 20% of the teenagers globally are watching 3 hours or more of YouTube every day. And of course, compared to other generations, not only are they watching more YouTube type of content, but they're watching that on handheld devices, on smartphones and tablets. So that's, of course, a major shift happening. And even though we've been following that over 5 years, to be quite honest, it's in the last 2 to 3 years that the change is really happening. So we should be talking about not digital natives as we did in the past. We should be talking about streaming natives, because these are kids who don't remember a time where you didn't have streaming on your device.
Thanks so much for taking time to talk to us. Certainly appreciate it, Michael Bjorn in Las Vegas.